Black family, a BB for Hodier Race First. Welcome back to another awesome session here at the School of Urban Philosophy. This is the Black Forum, where we always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. I am your host, your facilitator, and your brother, Bob Imhotep. Welcome back, everyone, on this April the 3rd, 2025. We're going to get it in. As always, we're going to get it in. I look forward to your thoughts, your insights, your feedback, and your comments. Once again, I look forward to your thoughts, your feedback, and your comments, your insights. How can we create in this space a dialogical discourse that allows for both of us to grow, evolve, and expand? Because that's what it's about. It is about growth, development, and expansion at the spirit level. Let me say it again. It is about growth, development, and expansion at the spirit level. We as a people are struggling primarily within the United States of America with some serious spirit problems, man. And too often they're overlooked. We either begin to focus on the spirit development, spirit growth, spirit expansion. You know, that must be a focus. Brother Asafo Hotep, my brother Hotep, continue to hold the line behind the wall. It's very necessary, very needed. Very necessary and very needed. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you are able to learn some new insights that you can apply on the inside. But tonight, as we begin to start, just want to highlight a few things that are happening within the Black community in general, because our community must be our focus. Our community must be our focus. We must, of necessity, focus on us, place us first. You know, figure out how we can resolve some of the issues and problems and concerns that we have as a people. Anyone who have been listening to me for any point of time, you will consistently hear me at some point talk about the education of Black children. You will hear me talk about the need for authentic Black leadership. You hear me talk about building strong families and strong relationships between the Black man and the Black woman. I'm not concerned with all these other forms of relationships that this society is trying to convince us that we should be engaged in. No, we primarily must be engaged in building a relationship between the Black man and the Black woman. And from there, we build our family. From there, we build these communities. From there, we build a strong nation. That is the work, and that is intergenerational work. You know, I know oftentimes because we become frustrated, we become upset, we become mad, we become angry with the things that we are contending with as a people, and we want change to happen just like that. We want it to happen just like this. It's not going to happen like that because we are steeped deep. Let me say that again, man. We are steeped deep within the insanity of whiteness, man. We are in it. And we are deep inside that insanity. And we are manifesting that insanity. I don't know. I'll give you an example of what I mean. You know, I don't know how many of you may have caught the news. I think it just happened within the last 2 weeks or so. There was a brother and a mother. You know, the young man, I believe he was in his mid-20s, probably close to his 30s or something like that. I don't have all those facts in order. So just bear with me. If you have the facts, you know, you can weigh in. But what I want to draw out this instance of this insanity that we have inherited from being within this whiteness of this society, right? This society is totally insane. And the more we conform, adjust, and adapt to this society, the more insane we become. I'm gonna give an example. Follow me. So the young man was incarcerated. I don't know if he was in jail or incarcerated doing some time, but I do know that whatever he was incarcerated for, it was because he already had an altercation with his mother. I believe he was incarcerated or locked up for assaulting his mother. However, as a Black mother, he was on his way. He was coming home. So she was excited about him on his way coming home. She was telling everybody, my baby coming home. So this young man comes home. And apparently within 1 week, he's rearrested for the murder of his mother and a 15-year-old brother. Now, I'm not saying he did it, but he had a cousin that spoke out about it. And the cousin was like, we would never expect nothing like that to happen. I'm shocked, but yes, the young man is incarcerated again, reincarcerated. But I want to bring it up because it speaks to the levels of the insanity. Because, man, the relationship between a black mother and a black son, woo, man, that's a noble, sacred relationship. That black mother loved that black boy. If anybody can attest to that, man. That black mother, she loved that black boy. That black mother and that black son relationship is sacred. But if you paying attention to us now, it's a fractured relationship in a lot of ways. And it's not necessarily from the side of the mother to the son. It's just generally fractured. Like the relationship isn't as strong and as valued as it once was. Why? We are adopting their insanities. We are picking up their insanities, man. And we are normalizing the insanities rather than, really taking a serious look at the degree to which we are falling from our humanity. Like we are falling from our humanity. We are descending to the depths of inhumanity in the terms of how we think, speak, and act towards one another. Right? It's like we have a general some type of personal dislike and hatred toward one another, man. We seek to destroy each other with our thinking about one another, man, how we speak to each other, how we speak about one another, and how we behave to each other. That's them. We are taking on their behavior. And how can I say that, and why do I say that? For those who are unclear, if you look at the historical documentation, and you can do this in a week if you're diligent enough. And if you look at the black community pre-1968, so I'm talking about give or take about what? So I'm 54, 71, about 57 years ago. So let's just say if you look at us 60 years ago, the black community, 60 years ago, you see a different type of behavior. You see a different type of behavior in terms of how we relate to one another. Just 60 years ago. And then you got to ask yourself, like, what happened from 1968 up until 2025? And look at everything in between, right? And you can begin to see this picture come together and how we have picked up their ways. It begin to show itself. It begin to reveal itself. We begin to see what's going on. Now, look at the schools, because the school systems takes up a lot of your time as a child. If you're a child and you're going to school, you got to be to school by 7:45, 8 o'clock, give or take. And you're there between 3 o'clock to 3:15. So you're talking about, let's say 8 o'clock. So you're there like 7-8 hours a day with these people, right? And you're amongst all this insanity. And then look at the TV shows that's out there. Look at the music that we're listening to, right? It's nothing but insanity all around us. The TV shows, the music, the books now, so you got to monitor as a parent, as a conscious parent, you have to monitor everything. You got to monitor everything. Hotep Bubba's Brother Sakati, I'm glad you and your queen was able to be with us at the Shahari Kapara, as always. Hotep, honor and respect, as always. But I wanted to just start there because I want to try to paint a picture so we can be clear about what's going on, because there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. And a lot of times we're not doing all of that work. We're skipping over some of the major parts of the work And so what I want to focus on tonight to a degree is the self. Because oftentimes not enough energy and enough attention is not paid to the self, man. We got to clean ourselves. And Malcolm X talked about that. He said, clean yourselves up, man. We got to clean ourselves up. And by cleaning up, let me tell you what I mean by cleaning up. We got to stop getting high. And I know some of us get high because we're trying to do what? We're trying to numb ourselves. We got to stop ingesting their poisons, their pills, their alcohol, their pornography. We got to stop ingesting that stuff. And we got to block that stuff out. You know, we got to change our thinking. To do that, you got to interrogate the way you think. We got to interrogate our thinking and then compare our thinking against something that's grand. And for the most part, we got to look at how we as a people think, you know, when we're in our right state of mind. We got to look at that so we can have something to compare it against, man. So we can begin to isolate and extract some of this insanity that's sitting within us. We got to get it out of us. You know, we got to get it out. Black meaning African. Hotep, my brother. Good to see you. Glad you were able to tune in. But tonight, I'm just going into a little bit of personal stuff tonight. Just talking about us at the individual level. You know I can oftentimes speak at the, you know, the collective level, but tonight I'm just trying to turn it around to help us look at us a little bit, because that's where a great deal of our work must begin and ultimately end. We must find ways to renew through productive transformation ourselves. We must renew ourselves. And that renewal has to do with us developing and cultivating and enhancing our spirit. The focus must be the spirit. Now, and oftentimes we talk about mental health. So I tend to follow the thinking of Dr. Wade Nobles. I believe we are beyond mental health. I believe that we are contending with a serious spirit problem. And I believe we need to figure out ways to get to the spirit. Now, everybody can't do it by themselves. I'm clear about that. Everybody don't have the individual capacity to do this. So therefore, I'm of the mindset that you need and must connect with qualified people who have been through transformation, who have cleaned themselves up and renewed themselves through the enhancing of their spirit, who have a proven philosophy and a method to effect the same within you. We must, of necessity, connect with people who know how to do that. Because if you're looking at us today, man, we are in shambles. And I'm only talking at the spirit level. At the psycho-spiritual level, we are in shambles. The things that we do. You know, you can go to, like I said before, you can go to a birthday party of a 1-year-old, and you wouldn't even know you was at a 1-year-old birthday party, because all the type of drugs and alcohol is there, the insane music is there, the have-neck, the women are there. You know what I'm saying? It's craziness. You know, it's sheer craziness. You know, but that's what we're living through. You know, we're living through that, man, and we're validating that. You know, and we can't do that, man. We gotta struggle for a higher level of existence. We gotta struggle for that. We gotta want that, a higher level of existence, and we gotta fight for that, man. We cannot just settle for this low level of functionality. It's low. The consistency in terms of just breaking up the family and breaking up the relationships and hating each other, then going on social media and using all the profane language to destroy each other in social media, man, that is childlike, immature behavior. And we gotta do better than that. We gotta do better than that. So tonight, it's about you. And what I'm saying may not apply to you personally. It may not be you personally, but I'm still talking to you, to me, to us. Like, we gotta focus on personal self-development and transformation. Team RGB, a BB48 race first. My good brother Bubba Obafemi out there in Phoenix, up there in Arkansas. My brother, man. Looking forward to seeing you this year, you and Freddie, and hopefully, whomever else you are able to bring this way when we get this convention popping. That's what this is about. Get this thing popping. But yes, tonight I just wanted to talk about us, man. How we got to get ourselves get better and not, thinking that we have arrived. We got consistent work to do. Consistent work to do in terms of self-development and transformation. And by transformation, I'm talking about not just the acquisition of information, because oftentimes that's what we think. We believe that we can acquire a bunch of information and it's sufficient. No, information must be acquired, then information must be interrogated. Right? Let me say it again. We must acquire information, but we must interrogate the information. That information must be sifted through a type of lens that allow us to discard what we don't need and to retain what's good, right? And then internalize the good. So we got to go into the information, into the knowledge, intentionally looking for those things that we need to enhance us. It's not just to say, well, I read that book. You can read 1,000 books, but if you don't comprehend what you have read, if you can't extract the lessons from what you have read, and if you don't know how to internalize those lessons, then reading those books serves anyone no good. Right? So it's not about the acquisition of information. It is more so about how we internalize and understand the information. That is the most important piece, not the acquisition. The acquisition of a thing doesn't give the thing its value. It's the utilization of the thing that gives it its value. It's the efficacy of it, not the acquisition, not the possession of it. And oftentimes we are caught up on possession because we want to always we want to outdo one another. We want to try to show one another up. So our thinking is, if I read more books than you, if I can cite that I've read more books, then I'm better, right? Because we're caught up once again in their insanity. And part of their insanity is show and tell. So we're caught up in show and tell. Because we think that the more I can show and tell, the greater it makes me out to be, right? A false sense of self-security. Insanity. That's the point that I'm trying to get us to understand. Like, we are living inside their insanity. Like, by their insanity, I am referring to the insanity of whiteness. It's the insanity of whiteness, white thought, white logic, white reasoning. That is insane when a Black person have been injected with it, and a Black person in turn attempts to utilize white thought, white logic, and white reasoning as his or her primary mode of thought to navigate through reality, right? You're going to collide. You are going to collide terribly. So the white thought has to be what? Ejected. It has to be ejected. Simple as that. We gotta, work on getting better as people. Build our discipline. Build our capacity. Build our characters. Develop integrity, because I see so much of a lack of integrity. I'll give an example, right? If I say you and I have a relationship and I respect you, we good, then we good in my mind. See, we're good. And even if we have a conversation and don't see the same points of views, we still good in my mind, because you do retain the right to think differently from me on some points, as do I. So just because you and I may not see eye to eye on some points, it doesn't mean we're not good. But you know what I see a lot of? The moment we have a disagreement, the relationship is gone. Right? The relationship is gone. That's an indication that the relationship was tenuous at best. It was already tenuous, and that person who discards the relationship because of that disagreement, that person was hypocritical because they never really was with you in the relationship. So the disagreements made them reveal them true selves. So they was hypocritical the entire time. They was faking the front like they was in the relationship with you, like y'all was okay. Whereas you serious. You thinking y'all got a good, solid, strong relationship, but that's not them. That's the reason why they couldn't handle the disagreements. You disagree, and everything else changes and shifts up. A lot of that takes place. A lot of that takes place. That's not how I am. RBG Patel, Black Power, Black Power. I heard that, my brother. Peace and blessing as always. But that's not how I am, and that's not how Black people should be, principally Black men and Black women, when we are building relationships. To build relationships is to build capacity. So when we are engaged in capacity building, we should be honest up front with one another. You should bring your authentic self to the process. Bring the authentic you to the process. Don't bring a representation of who you are. Then the moment we have a disagreement on something, you are distraught behind the disagreements, and you don't know how to move forward from the disagreements. You don't know how to move forward from the disagreements. So the only thing you can do is discard the relationship, right? That's not good. That's not a good practice. That's not a good practice. Now, there are some instances when, people may legitimately do things bad and destroy relationships. That happens. But in most cases, that's not even what's happening. In most cases, we just dealing with people, man, who are just not developed enough to handle disagreements. And because they're not developed enough to handle disagreements, we living inside this white insanity, we throw relationships away. And I say it all the time. When you look at the natural world, you can see, if you look into the natural world, you can see how important relationship is. If you understand spirit phenomenon, you see how important relationship is. So if you understand the importance of relationship, then you would know that when you have that with good people, you struggle together to sustain and maintain it and to grow it. You don't take it lightly and throw it away just because I said that, hypothetically speaking, just because I said that I believe that hypothetically speaking, I think the Black family was destroyed during slavery. Other person say, no, man, that's not true, man. The Black family wasn't destroyed. That's, man, it was destroyed. And we have a 15-minute discussion about that, and the discussion may have got a little bit of heated or whatever. So then the next day, you know what happens? The other person is mad at me because they personalized me taking a stance that the Black family was destroyed. Now, I'm not saying that's my position, but I'm using that as an example. Personal growth and development, Black man and Black woman. That's what tonight is about. Personal accountability, personal growth and development, personal spiritual expansion, spirit enhancement, spirit expansion, right? Gotta be critical with ourselves first. You have to be willing to interrogate yourself first. Don't be so quick to correct me. Don't be so quick to critique me. Critique you first. Correct you first. Like, that's what this is about. That's true leadership. That's true personal leadership. Because we quick to holler. We don't need any leaders. We don't need any leaders. We say that real quick, right? But yeah, lead yourself then. And the first thing you should be doing is in the personal sphere is correcting yourself, critiquing yourself, interrogating yourself. Do that first. Lead by example. Lead by example. Don't stand on the sideline and tell me what I should be doing if you're not doing it yourself. So that's what this is about. So I'm not going to tell a person what they should be doing. I'm not going to offer a critique of anybody. If I offer a critique, it's because I have something to offer. If I offer a critique, I have a something to substitute. It's simple as that. And in most cases, I'm not even looking to critique you. If I can feel your genuineness and know your heart, I'm not even trying to critique you. Because I can care less about the thing that you may not necessarily get correct if your heart is genuine. I'm not the one that's trying to critique you. Because if your heart is genuine and you're serious, then whatever you are doing, we need. Whatever you are doing, we need. So yeah, you may feel like we need agriculture. I may not necessarily be in that lane. But I know your heart is serious, your heart is sincere, your intentions are good, you're committed. I'm not going to critique you and tell you spend too much time in agriculture lane, because we do need it. I'm not going to be like, man, you keep on pushing agriculture, man. We need politics. I'm not going to do nothing like that because your heart is right. You are sincere. You are genuine. I'll figure out how I can complement what you do. That's what I would do. I'll figure out how I can complement that. And that's what we need to be doing, because I'm not critiquing you before I'm critiquing myself. It's simple as that. I'm not going to interrogate you before I interrogate me. And this is how we get work done, by applying that pressure upon ourselves. Apply that pressure upon ourselves. But let me stop here for a few seconds just to get these pieces out real quick. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you have not liked the video, please like the video. That's very important. Help me out, help us out, so we can get this channel rocking and rolling and we can keep it moving. If you have not already shared this video, please share it. Let's bring other folk in here so they can be a part of this discussion, because I believe this, I'm not going to say I believe, this is a very needed discussion. Self-development, self-reflection, self-interrogation, we need it. We need it. We can get up and talk about what we need to do as a people all day long. Everybody got a theory on what we need to do. Black people need to do this. Black people need to do this. Black people need to do this, right? But I can guarantee you very rarely hear anybody say that, what we need to do, we need to get ourselves together and clean up. We always talking in the general sense, in the collective sense, as if we are an authority or an expert on how to move our people forward. Everybody want to be the expert in 2025 or 2024 or 2023 or within the 2000, since Facebook became the prominent thing, I guess 2008 on, you get all these gurus and all these experts, man. They all online, they're all online. Case in point, I'm gonna get a case in point, right? We talk about the fakes and the frauds a lot, right? And I'm going to tell you why the fakes and the frauds can do what they can do. The charlatans, like Umar Johnson. Everybody know Umar Johnson is a fraud, right? I'm not going to say everybody. A great deal of people know he's a fraud. But the reason why someone like him can exist, because so many of our people are so damaged. Listen, this is the truth, right? So many of us are so damaged, and we lack so much. We lack self-regard and self-respect that we create a market for him to exist. So even though you see him online right now going through what he's going through with his daughter, a biological daughter that he don't deny. We know that's his daughter, right? And we know this person, has been running around in the community for the last, give or take, 15 years, single, giving out information on manhood, womanhood, relationships, and the Black family. Right? And the Black family. Listen, he's got information on womanhood. He's talking about what the Black woman should be, what she should not be. He could talk about manhood. He's talking about family and relationships. And he's been single for the last 15 years, to my knowledge, probably longer than that. He have not sustained a relationship. But the reason he can do it is because there's a market for him. There is a market, because so many of us are lacking so much in necessary personal ingredients to be whole, that he fulfills a void in us, because many of us are addicted to that. The same way the person is addicted to heroin, cocaine, crack, alcohol, pills, gambling, sex. We are addicted to charlatans. It's no different. He is a drug. So no matter what's going on with him, he's not going to go away until he go away himself. Because no matter what he gets in, no matter how foolish he is, no matter what the nonsense is, no matter how much he reveal that he's running a game, it's not going to undo him, because he is a drug for these weak people. And that's why I'm talking about the need for self-development tonight, because the only way these types of people can meddle in your minds the way that he is doing is because you are lacking something. And if you put the energy on yourself, you won't get played like that. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying we should not support individuals. I'm saying that he is not what he say he is. Now, when you come across people that's genuine and sincere, that's walking the walk and walking the talk, then yes, you should support those individuals to do the work. But don't be out here supporting a fraud because you are addicted to that fraud, because you have been pulled into that fraud's whirlwind. Because how can someone, he can't even sustain a relationship, and yet you're going to listen to him to talk about relationships. And then you got people, genuinely good people, who have been sustaining healthy relationships for 20 and 30 years that you don't even want to listen to. That's because, once again, we are addicted to foolery. We're addicted to foolery. You know what? Because he fulfills a need for you, and that need is to make you feel good. It makes you feel good. Greetings, my sister. Greetings. It makes you feel good. We got to get out to feel good. We got to deal with the sincere. Like, deal with the sincere. Now, let me be very clear. I'm not saying somebody who may not be in a relationship can't offer some good relationships information, because that can happen. But somebody who have been unable to sustain a relationship for 15 years, you should be leery of that individual. You should. You should be leery of that individual. Someone who's, he's supposed to be a black leader who drags his biological daughter through the internet. Yes, she came out first because she's hurt. Anybody that have children that have not been in that child's life, you understand how that child feels. I'm going to give you an example. I love being transparent about myself. I went to prison in 1990 and came home in 2004. And when I came home from prison, I had a 16-year-old son, I had a 14-year-old son, I had a 13-year-old daughter when I got back home from prison. And that 16-year-old son, he was extremely angry at me for not being there for those years. And yes, our relationship for the first couple of years of his life, it was tumultuous. But you know what I didn't do? I didn't abandon that boy. I didn't say, man, bump him, I'm gone, and went on to do my thing. I still continued to maintain a relationship and be in his life. Now today, this July in 2025, that boy be 37 years old. And we got a relationship, a functional relationship. We communicate. And he now are able to apologize. Within the last couple of years, he apologized for the hardship he put me through in my efforts to be a father to him, even though I was gone. So it's understandable why that young lady was upset. But if he was really an authentic Pan-Africanist leader, he wouldn't have responded that way. That was an opportunity for that man to really show you his maturity, right? Now, anybody got any sense? That man showed you how immature he is in that situation. That's what just happened. But once again, he is going to continue to persist because he provides something for those that's lacking. Get yourself together. Focus on yourself. Build yourself up. And these charlatans won't be able to play in your life with it that he has been doing for as long as he's been doing it. I'm not sure if what I just said is clearly understood by all, but put some thought into what I'm saying. Think about it. And you can come to the conclusion, you'll see that it's the truth. It is the truth. Because we got to be about the truth. We have to be about the truth. Because, see, I'm a father of 5 children and 5 grandchildren. So I know that dynamic. And I've been married for 20 years. I know that dynamic. And I do have mothers of children's out, other than my wife, that I have a relationship with. So I know that whole dynamic. So I'm not speaking from a place of ignorance. I know the dynamic. I've been there. I've been the father who haven't been in his children's lives. I was incarcerated, but I've been that father. So I know the anger that comes with that, because a child wants his or her father. They want the father. If the mother's there, they want the father. They want that person in their life. So when you're not there, yes, there's some, because they don't understand why you went away. They're not understanding that. They don't understand why you're not there. You can't keep on saying, I'm not here because mommy ain't want me to be here. They don't understand none of that right there. They don't understand that. You have to work harder to get through their initial anger. You got to work harder to get through that. And that's the adult As the father, you're supposed to already anticipate and know that they are going to be angry. It is never the responsibility of the child to reach out to and connect and reestablish a relationship with the parent. It is never the child's responsibility to do that. Ever. It is the parent, it is the father, it is the mother's responsibility to reach out to reconnect with his or her child and reestablish and build a relationship. And whatever heat that comes in that process, you must be mature enough to endure that heat. You know why? Because you are the one that wasn't in that child's life. That child didn't choose to abandon you. You abandoned the child. For whatever the reasons are, you abandoned the child. So you got to take the heat. Taking the heat is an act of maturity. See, taking the heat speaks to your level of maturity. Taking the heat reveals your level of spiritual attunement. Taking the heat speaks to your psychological development, the inability to endure the heat that you caused reveals the reverse. But back to those of you who are here with me tonight, it's about personal growth, development, and expansion at the spirit level. We need to develop psychologically and spiritually, and we got to work on that. You cannot hide it behind reading a whole bunch of books with a whole bunch of information. You can be intellectually developed. You can know everything in the world, man. You can recite everything. You can recite all the dates. You can quote all the scholars. You can run all the information down. But if your psychological areas are small, if your spiritual area is small, then you're small. I don't care about how big your intellect is. I don't care about how your ability to articulate or enunciate yourself. It doesn't matter. What truly matters in terms of the human sphere is the psycho-spiritual area. The area that deals with what? Your empathy, your emotions, your compassion, you know what I'm saying? Your intuitiveness, right? It's that area that matters, man, not your intellect, your logic and reasoning. You know, the white people going to tell you that, boy, you got to have a bunch of logic and reason. No, it's okay to be able to reason well, no doubt. But you just can't be all reason, man. You can't be all logic. You're not made that way. We're not all reason and all logic, all cognitive. There must be a manifestation in your behavior that exemplifies a unique blend between logic and reason and psycho-spiritual harmony. So those things must be blended in such a way that produces a whole being. And that's you. I speak about that in this book here a lot. So if you own my book, if you own Nomo, I suggest you get into it, dig into it. Go in there, go into those areas and see what I'm talking about. You know, go into those areas and see what I'm talking about when it gets into where we at? What I want you to look at too. Because I want us to be real clear about what this is all about. You know, I want us to understand. Go into the areas on page 116. Morality as spirituality. Go there, read that. You know, go into page 122 and read pursuance of righteousness. That's what this is about, man. We are here to show up righteous. That's why we are here. That's why there is no being that's standing in the material world that is grand as us. And even though we adore and we think, you know, all these other beings that we see are great, you know, the exotic animals and things, but nothing is grand as us, the human being. And by human being, once again, the black man and the black woman, there's nothing as grand as us. However, that divinity that you come to the world with, that divinity is not activated by right of being born. The divinity must be cultivated. It's a process that you must be engaged in your entire life, right? You must be engaged in a process that's designed to cultivate your divinity so you can always show up in your divineness, which is righteousness, which is spiritness. And that's what this is about. We're supposed to be spirit here now. That's the work that we're supposed to be doing. We're not supposed to be here and be slaves to sexual and slaves to what? Lust, slaves to drugs, slaves to money, slaves to people. That's not why we come to the world. You know, we're not born for that. We are born to be great, man. We come here great. We are the essence of greatness. That's what we are by design. But the greatness must be brought forth. See, that's the beauty of being who we are, man. And I'm trying to help us to understand that so we can get out the conditions that we are in, so we can get our families together. You can get your relationship together. You can parent better when you know who you are. You can relate better to your woman, your man, your wife, your husband, when you know who you are, when you know your spirit, and when you know that you are destined to be righteous and you are in a passageway to be righteous, you can deal with your children better and you can bring them to a higher level of beingness because you understand what it means to be. That's what this is about. So yes, if you have Nomo, read Nomo. Read it. And go on page 124 and read Rebirth. Just go read Rebirth, man. It's very important that we understand these things. 122. Let me see if I can get that. You know, I need some glasses, so bear with me when I attempt to read. You know, so like I said, I love being a little transparent with everybody. Yeah, mommy said I'm being real transparent tonight. All right, so yeah, I'm reading from the passage. It's called Pursuance of Righteousness. And it says this: righteousness must be pursued. Within normal practice, righteousness is an aspiration. By righteousness is meant right action, acting in a dignified, upright, and noble way. Being honorable, to be righteous is to become righteous, and becoming righteous requires more than just avoiding acts of wrongdoing. Refraining from misdeeds is not enough. One can refrain and have evil intent still. In addition to refraining from doing misdeeds, you must also aspire to do right. You must strive to adhere to what is right and good by African standards of morality. This entails, among other things, observing the moral codes of behavior and taboos of the community. You must apply yourself to an African code of ethics. Righteousness is intentional and deliberate. You do not stumble upon being righteous. Righteousness is self-willed. Righteousness is what you avidly pursue. It is a daring act of standing in your own divinity. Let me say that again. Righteousness is what you avidly pursue. It is a daring act of standing in your own divinity. You must strive to be ma'at by doing ma'at. Let me say that again. You must strive to be ma'at by doing ma'at. Not just professing and making these proclamations. We do too much of that. Professing and making proclamations, but never delivering in actions. We do too much of it. The 7 principles of Ma'at and the 42 declarations of innocence must be incorporated into your life. These must become the constitution that governs your behavior. You must strive daily to bring them to fruition. You must not hope for nor wish for this to materialize within your life. Hoping and wishing are not spiritual concepts. These do not originate from our center. They are imaginary and futile. They are of no use regarding spiritual transformation. Being an African man or African woman Being an African man or African woman of right actions is what you seek to become. It is something that you righteously strive to be. You must make it a part of your personal agenda to become a righteous woman or a righteous man. To emerge ma'ak haru, true of voice. Say it again. You must make it a part of your personal agenda to become a righteous woman or a righteous man. To emerge ma'ak haru, true of voice. So I'm going to stop there. But if you own Nomo, study it. Don't read it like it's a book you read. Study the information, study the concepts, study the precepts, and understand that the entire book is geared towards one thing: spirit living. The book enlightens us in the areas of spirit awareness so we know how to be spirit, to know how to be spirit, to be righteous. That's what it's all about, black man and black woman. That is the work we have to do. We shouldn't always be caught up in these online, going back and forth, fussing and arguing with people. You shouldn't always be in conflict with other people, because when you find yourself consistently clashing with everybody, you gotta examine yourself. You must examine yourself. You can't just keep clashing with everybody and think that everybody is just off. Get yourself right. Personal growth and development. Once again, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Comment on the video. At the end of this video, comment. If I said something that resonated with you, then comment on that, right? I need your engagement, right? Once again, like even in Nomo, I talk about dynamism, that energy, right? That vibratory frequency. Like, it requires engagement, that dialogical discourse, the back and forth, that is necessary to foster growth and development. So if I am principally leading this particular session here at the School of Urban Philosophy, I don't want you to just be the recipient. Yes, I want you to hear me and learn from the things that I bring forth, but I want you to engage it. I want you to ponder it and reflect upon it, then engage it. If there's something that I've said that resonates with you, you can elaborate on it, you can expound upon it, or you can further question it to push the discussion further. Reciprocity. Yes. Reciprocity is at the reciprocity is at the base of reality, man. At the base, at the core of reality is reciprocity. Back and forth. Vibrations that's the reciprocity, and we got to engage it. We have to practice it. We have to be very reciprocal in how we do what we do, but we got to be true to transforming ourselves. That there we must be true, because a lot of people have a lot of information. I come across a lot of people who have a lot of information, and a lot of these people, man, they got way more information than me. But you know what I always notice? They have poor character, so their information is no good. They have poor character. They're ineffective. They're just loud. They just one of those. They're just a person who possess the capacity to remember. And some of us have great memories, right? We can just remember things. So some people are like that. They can remember a whole lot. They got a lot of information, but they don't have any transformation. And me, I'm always looking for transformation. And I can tell when a person is engaged in transformation because there's something solid about them. There is something sound about the individual that's transforming. Intellect by itself doesn't transform character. No, it doesn't. It does not. Intellect will never do it. Intellect will never do it by itself. There is work that must be done. There is self-interrogation. There is self-correction. There is you have to patch yourself up. You know what I'm saying? You got to be able to do what? You got to examine yourself. You got to find those character weaknesses that you have. You got to fill those holes. You got to get rid of those flaws. Right? That's how you begin to transform. You gotta, those bad habits that you have, you can't hold those bad habits. You gotta let those bad habits go. You can't try to justify getting high and saying that, well, we used to do this, Ruth and Kimmy. You can't try to justify drinking alcohol, saying, well, we used to pour libation. We're not in ancient Ghana. You know what I'm saying? We're not in, deep in Nigeria or places like that. You know what I'm saying? Today we're using that alcohol, man, to get drunk off of. We know we are. We're using the African spirituality to justify getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? And we can't do that. See, we can't do that in this land. And we got to understand, once again, that's why I wrote No More. We got to understand that the African cultural world is a dynamic world, meaning that our culture doesn't stop in Africa. And oftentimes we think it does. We think that the culture stopped at the northern border, the southern border, the eastern border, or the western border of Africa. We think that those of us who left out the continent left empty-handed. So we don't see how the culture has a continuum. And we don't understand that the culture is alive. So because it's alive, we are supposed to always add on to it. We add on to it based on the root. But everything that we did in Africa is not all applicable within the United States of America. Let me say that again. And I'm a hardcore African-centered Black man. But I know that everything we did there is not applicable here. There are some things we got to develop for ourselves here to add on to the culture. Case in point, Africans, before Europeans arrived, we had no concept of crack cocaine. We had no concept of heroin, right? So we got to develop new means and methods to deal with that. We had no concept of what we call the single parent family. We had no concept of that. So we got to develop new methods to address that issue. We had no concept of the quote unquote delinquent Black child or criminal element. We had no concept of that as it exists today. So therefore we need new methodologies and new methodologies and new systems, man, to address those issues. Those things got to be developed by us here in the diaspora, in the 6th region. That's our work. That is the work that we need to do. We got to get it in, Black man and Black woman. We got to go we got to always stay plugged into our way. I'm not, most definitely be very clear. I am not suggesting that we do not plug into our way and we do not pour from our way. We do. We pour from our traditions. We pour from our customs. We pour from our rituals. We use all of that. You know what I'm saying? But everything is not applicable, and therefore we must be in the business of development. So that's why a No More exists. That's why I wrote this book here, right? Because this book comes in that tradition. Because for us, we need additional work. And we got to be very clear about that. I like the most. We need herb hall, huh? But this is the work we got to do. We gotta get in on that level. So we got about 7 minutes left before we get out of here. Let me hear some of your thoughts, some of your comments, some of your just talk back to me. Talk black to the Black man. I need to know how you feeling. How y'all feeling out there? How we doing? Are we good? Are y'all liking the video? Are y'all sharing the video? If you're new to the channel, are you subscribing to the channel? Because I need everyone to subscribe. Pass on the channel. Pass on the knowledge. And let's go. Did any of what I say make any sense to you? Did any of what I say make any sense to you? Is it applicable to your own personal growth and development? Can you use any of what was said? So let me know. Give me some feedback. And also within the link, there's an email in the link that if you want to reach out to me through email, you can check that out. We got a website that's in the chat. So you look in the chat, scroll to the chat, you'll see our website. You can check the website out. You can see the email, and there's a link there for this book here, Scientific Pan-Africanism. This is my latest book that I just put out this year, which is another really, really good book. If you're interested in purchasing this book, go through the chat, and you can see the link there that you can purchase this book. Black powerful information tonight. Definitely on point with the message. It all made sense. My brother Cody, good to see you. Yes, yes. We gotta big on it. We gotta dig in hard, black man. We gotta dig in hard, and we gotta stay focused on us. We gotta look at our own holes and our own flaws. We can't be so focused on looking at somebody else. Do the work on ourselves. Pursuance of righteousness eventually produces a righteous person. This is the daily goal. Thank you. Yes, yes, my sister. Nikki Lee Nova, you're still here. You've been rocking and rolling with us consistently since you came to us. That's what's up. We must be actively and consistently engaged in pursuing righteousness. Actively and consistently engaged in pursuing righteousness. Every day we should be waking up in the mindset that we are going to be this much more closer to being fully manifested in our righteous beingness. That's what this is. That's who we are. We are spirit and divine by nature, but once again, that divinity must be cultivated. It must be activated. And that's our work. We do that every day. We do that every day by being very careful with what we introduce to ourselves and being very careful about what we put in ourselves and how we are exposing ourselves. We got to be careful about those things. We can't take nothing for granted. We can't make it seem like it's okay to just be around a bunch of nonsense and not some of that stuff is not getting in. It is getting in, and we got to be very careful about what we're doing. He said, Brother Asafo said, being able to stand in the fire when your shortcomings are brought to light. Yes, we got to stand in the fire. We got to get better. We got to get sharpened up. We don't try to avoid it. Don't try to, deflect it. Handle it. But allow yourself to get better. So let me recap a little some things here I want y'all to take with y'all. Interrogate your thinking. Interrogate your thinking. Please interrogate how you think. Do that every day. Even because sometimes we don't do it because we like, man, I'm thinking good, I'm okay. But I still do it. So because I say interrogate your thinking, I'm not saying that something is wrong with your thinking. I'm saying interrogate your thinking to ensure that you are consistently getting sharper in how you think, right? To make sure that illness of whiteness is not just laying there somewhere, right? So interrogate how you think about the different issues and the circumstances that you are confronted with. Interrogate how you think about it. Interrogate how you think about family, how you think about relationship. Interrogate how you think about that. Because sometimes we do have some thoughts, man, that's not the best thoughts that we should be having. So interrogate how you think. Subject yourself to daily self-examination. Interrogate how you think. Subject yourself to daily self-examination. Daily self-examination. Anything that you discover or come across that's incorrect about you or how you have done something, be the first to correct it. Say that again, right? If you come across something or discover something that's incorrect about you in terms of how you have responded to something or how you have acted, be the first to correct it. If it's brought to you, be open-minded enough to examine what is being brought to you. If you can reason that you are in fact incorrect in how you have acted, correct it. Eliminate the behavior. Make no justifications for it, because every justification and every excuse we make for something that's incorrect about us, we give it refuge within us. Let me say that again. Every excuse or justification we make for something that's incorrect about who we are, by doing so, we give it refuge within us, meaning we are giving it permanency within inside our character. And you must never do that. You must never do that. We must make the changes and get better. So with that, we are now at 10 o'clock. This is the hour. And I don't want to keep anybody any longer than you have signed on for. 1 hour is, I believe 1 hour is sufficient because it's at night. Many of you have families, your mothers, your fathers, your wives, your husbands, and you got other things that need to be done. So we want to conclude. But as always, I'd like to leave you with this here. Be tuned. Be true to tune into the School of Urban Philosophy, the Black Forum, weekly, every Thursday at 9 p.m. Same place, same time, where we are always straight up, straightforward, and straight to the point. With that, I say, Bibi Fahodie and race first.